Who gonna assess it? So we're gonna be looking to all of our business.
IT, are you ready?
Ready. I don't see the light. There we go. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Candy, Ojai County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I thank everyone who's in the room today, and thank you for your interest in Candy, Ojai County government, as well as those who are joining us on our YouTube live stream. First item of business is approval of today's agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion is second to approve today's agenda. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Next is the consideration of the consent agenda. Today's consent agenda consists of the following items: approval of the July 7, 2026 County Board legal minutes, approval of the auditor's warrants and claims, approval of human services warrants and claims, cancellation of human services warrants, letters of support to the congressional delegation, approval of July 7, 2026 closed session minutes, 2026-27 New London Spicer School Resource Officer contract renewal, and two resolutions, 2026-31, reappointment of Veteran Service Officer Tricia Appledorn, Resolution 2026-32, reappointment of Assistant Veteran Service Officer Annabeth Wall. Are there any commissioners wish to pull any of these consent items out of the consent agenda for further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just briefly, I just want to make a comment. And excuse me. Thank you. I'd just like to pull the letters of support, just for a short comment.
Very good. We'll do that. And we'll take that up immediately after we take this, the balance of the consent agenda. Is there any other items anyone wishes to pull? I'd accept a motion to approve the consent agenda with the with pulling the congressional letters of support.
Mr. Chair, also move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the consent agenda. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Oh, pull it, yes, sorry. Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Go ahead with your question, Commissioner.
Oh, okay. I just would appreciate you commenting, mainly for the audience as well. I read through the letters of support, and we talked about them doing that. I just want to say I thought it was worded very well. And would you just kind of share what they were for, so the public knew that we're reaching out?
Right. Would you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Administrator Baker, I should really say thank you.
Well, and basically, this request came from Commissioner Imdag, so he might be really the best that knows about the federal level. But it was the request for the three letters in there, like it says in the board packet, are the bridges and safety infrastructure for community success. In history, Public Works Director Mel Odens has wrote letters in the past for support. So we had a draft of a letter like that already. And then for the SNAP program, and then the surface transportation reauthorization, to continue supporting those programs, to continue having local governments receive federal dollars.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments on that item? Would you care to offer a motion to?
I sure move, I sure move, Mr. Chair.
All right, motion to approve the letters of support. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Very good, thank you. And now at this time, we have an update from Pact for Families. Sarah Vandahar, Executive Director, will present. And Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. I am Sarah Vonderhaar, Executive Director at Pact for Families, and I want to thank you for the opportunity for coming here today to provide the update about the work that's happening across Candiota County. And I also want to thank you all for your continued partnership and your support. Pact has been serving children, youth, and families across the region for more than 30 years. And throughout that time, our mission has really stayed very consistent. Our role continues to be to strengthen collaboration, identify service gaps, coordinate resources, and bring additional state and federal dollars into our communities so that children and families receive support before problems really turn to crisis. Today, I brought a brief report that highlights some of our initiatives and partnerships, investments that are occurring across Candiota County. Rather than walking through each page word for word, I'd like to just highlight a few of the areas that demonstrate the prevention, collaboration, and early intervention continue to strengthen our communities. The first page helps to explain what PACT really does. It's an overview of our programs. One of the questions that I often get from people is, what exactly does PACT do? The simplest answer to that question is we help communities work better together. We bring partners together around shared priorities, use data to guide decisions, identify opportunities to strengthen services, and pursue additional resources that benefit children and families across the region. So the first two programs on there are our transition services for Journey to Independence and Road to Success, and those have been pretty long-standing programs since I've been with PACT. The Partnership for Success program actually came to an end in August of 2025. We had applied for additional funding to continue that program and were not awarded. I did recently, this past month, submit 2 more applications for that funding opportunity, and they were only accepting 60 applications, and 2 of our applications did move to the next level, so that's promising. And then our Family Support Services has been a longstanding program that offers family liaison supports to families needing a little extra support. We have our Cultural Outreach and Support Initiative that's been pretty longstanding. And our Communities That Care project started just recently, last June. We're starting year 2 of that 5-year project. We bring partners together around those shared priorities. All of those programs kind of deal with different aspects of service, but they all really work to bring those services to the families. So many people know that our program, about like one particular program, but PACT is meant to serve as an organization that helps serve, connect county agencies, schools, public health, behavioral health providers, and community organizations throughout the regions. So while each of these services provides a different purpose, They all share one common goal, and that is to strengthen prevention, support families earlier, improve coordination across systems, and build stronger communities. Our next page highlights some of the direct work that's taking place here in Candy, Ojai County. During 2025, we did serve 37 families, 58 youth, and also coordinated weighted blanket referrals for youth experiencing anxiety and emotional regulation challenges. While those numbers are important, I believe one of the greatest impacts happens kind of behind the scenes. So throughout 2025, PACT invested more than $126,000 in workforce development through training opportunities focused on trauma-informed care, youth mental health, suicide prevention, prevention education, wraparound practices, cultural responsiveness, and youth engagement. So every community member, professional, and family advocate that we reach really increases the capacity of our communities to better support children and families. And our goal is to provide, not to provide the services themselves, ourselves, but to strengthen the system that already exists so that more families and children receive the right supports at the right time. The next page is actually one of my favorites to share because it highlights some of the projects that began as ideas from our local partners rather than from PACT. So schools, counties, staff, nonprofits, and community organizations identify a local need, and PACT provides a small targeted investment that helps turn those ideas into reality through our discretionary projects. So during 2025 and the first quarter of 2026, PACT invested more than $22,000 in discretionary projects here in Candy, Ojai County, supporting initiatives that are expected to reach more than 1,300 children, youth, families, and community members. Two of the projects focused on helping children build emotional regulation skills early in their lives. New London Spicer Prairie Woods Elementary expanded a classroom sensory supports to help students regulate emotions and remain engaged in learning. And earlier this year, we also provided funding to the Southwest West Central Service Cooperative to create a sensory room for students receiving more intensive educational services, combining sensory equipment with staff training to create long-term supports for students with complex emotional and behavioral needs. Two more projects focused on strengthening families through cultural responsive supports and early intervention. The Community Connectors is expanding parent education and early intervention services for Somali families here in Wilmer through culturally responsive parenting workshops, individualized support, and assistance navigating schools and community supports. Wilmer Early Childhood Family Programs partnered with the Speaking Out Collective to engage young children and families through music, storytelling, and puppetry while increasing awareness of early childhood development and mental health. The final projects for 2025 and the first quarter of 2026 focused on youth, on helping youth build resilience to help them see positive futures. Candy, Ojai County Health and Human Services continues their Passport to Education and Careers initiative, exposing students to career opportunities while helping them understand education connections and how to connect to future success. And Dream Technical Academy also ran a program called Empower You. It's a summer program that combines wellness activities, life skills, mindfulness, community engagement, and academic support to help students remain connected during the summer. And that really strengthens protective factors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. One thing I really appreciate about all of the projects is that they truly reflect local leadership. They were not designed by PACT, but were developed by educators, county staff, schools, and community organizations to understand the unique needs of the populations that they serve. So our role is really to listen, to help connect them to those supports and dollars to identify resources and to support these good local ideas as they become reality. The next portion is that regional school. It's on the same page. The Regional School Mental Health Initiative. And this initiative actually grew out of discussions during our annual planning retreat last September. And it continued through conversations with schools, county agencies, public health, behavioral health providers, and other community partners. Across those conversations, what we saw was really one theme. It kept emerging. While many excellent services already exist across our region, there were opportunities to really strengthen communication, coordination, and resource sharing across those systems. So we looked across the conversations. It became clear that there was really no single organization that could do the work alone. So what we were trying to accomplish with this project was to build stronger connections between partners. And it was just really the base of where that work went. So as we're building stronger connections between partners, we saw an opportunity to serve as that connector, bringing together organizations that were already working and doing important work, but to improve communication, share resources, and strengthen regional coordination. So the Regional School Mental Health Initiative and the School Learning Network were developed to bring partners together, share promising practices, improve regional coordination, and better prepare schools and communities for the Minnesota's upcoming mental health and substance use education requirements. One of the things that was really encouraging for us at PACT was to see how willing our partners were to come to the table and share in that work. The conversation during those sessions really shifted from what does my organization to do to more of how can we work together to accomplish the idea of connection. Let's see, the next 2 pages really tell a story about how data helps to guide our prevention planning. So at the regional level, we continue to see encouraging trends. Alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana use among youth has declined over time, though vaping continues to require some attention, and that is demonstrated on that final graph on the bottom of that page. These trends remind us that prevention efforts can make meaningful difference when communities remain committed over time. We know that our prevention efforts aren't going to be seen tomorrow, so the importance of it is to continue. But our regional data can really tell another part of the story. To make good local decisions, we need good local data. And then this will be on the next page. So here we have the SHARE survey and the Minnesota Student Survey. And they are 2 very important surveys for our region. And over the past several years, participation has declined across Minnesota, including here in Candy-Ojai County. The top slide shows in blue the Candy-Ojai County participation. You can see back in 2017, there were 1,684 students who participated in the survey. In 2025, we only had 410. That was about 1 school district here in Candy-Ojai County. So when fewer students participate, it becomes more difficult for us to understand what's happening within those individual schools and communities, making it really hard to identify emerging needs and tailor prevention efforts appropriately. So as we continue strengthening relationships with schools through the Regional School Mental Health Initiative and increasing participation in local surveys, we will have an even clearer picture of the strengths and needs within our communities. For us, collecting the data is only valuable if it leads to action. So one of our priorities this year has been to strengthen how we use community feedback, strategic planning discussions, and local data to better understand community needs and identify opportunities to strengthen services. We're working to have more intentional conversations with our partners about what those needs are and where PACT can best provide support. One example of this approach is in our grant development efforts. Earlier this summer alone, PACT submitted 3 major grant proposals, 2 federal SAMHSA Partnership for Success proposals, and 1 to the state for the Minnesota Rural Health Transformation Children's Mental Health Initiative proposal. If funded, these projects would significantly expand prevention programming, strengthen schools and community partnerships, improve coordinated mental health supports, and bring substantial additional state and federal resources into our 5-county region. Whether or not the proposals are funded, ultimately, we will continue looking for opportunities to expand and add additional investments to Candy-Ojai County without increasing burdens to taxpayers. The next page highlights what has become increasingly important in our work. For many years, prevention efforts have really focused on primarily reducing risk factors. Today, we know that it's equally important to intentionally build protective factors. The protective factors project has really come to light in our communities at care work, and I have bumper stickers for each of you if you would like one. This is our newest initiative to get people interested in our Communities at Care project. So we're trying to build a community board that can help us make database decisions about how to move forward with prevention. So they're magnets. They can go on your fridge, on your car, in the bathroom stalls, wherever you want. I'm going to be throwing them on at people's cars at Walmart soon, so be on the lookout. But today we know it's equally important to intentionally build those protective factors. Some of those factors can include positive relationships, trusted adults, school connectedness, opportunities to contribute or have a sense of belonging, and be supportive families. So these positive experiences are often referred to as protective factors or benevolent childhood experiences. And you can see that many of our students are reporting that they have benevolent childhood experiences, 4 or more. So that's great news to see from our reports. This is regional data across the 5 counties. We also know that those benevolent childhood experiences help children become more resilient even when they have experienced adversity. And you will see that while many of our students don't have ACEs or adverse childhood experiences in that first column on the top, you will see that about 23% have 1 or more. So there are quite a few kids who are still experiencing adversity. So these protective factors are really what mitigates those ACEs. And
Commissioner Berg.
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Can you explain what ACEs is?
yeah, so adverse childhood experiences are adverse things that happen to children. Some things could be seeing your mom abused or having a parent incarcerated. Parental divorce has been listed as an ACE, sexually abused, just those adverse things that happen to kids that they don't have any control over. So sometimes those adverse childhood experiences can lead to health concerns later in life. Some kids with adverse experiences may turn to substance use. Some of them may have mental health challenges that they have to overcome, and sometimes it even is related to physical health. So our job with the Communities That Care project is to build up those protective factors which offer a buffer for those ACEs. And that's where we're really trying to focus, is on building up those protective factors, because we know how important it is to create that buffer for those kids. So even just one caring adult in a child's life can really make a difference. And so that's what the Communities That Care project is all about. Good, okay. So one of the things that really encourages me as we're beginning to see committees shift is that the conversations have changed from simply how do we reduce problems to how do we intentionally create the kinds of experiences that help children thrive. So that perspective now influences nearly everything that we do at PACT, whether we're supporting communities of care, funding local discretionary projects, strengthening school partnerships, helping to develop the Family Resource Center, or coordinating the Regional School Mental Health Initiative. We are all working on the same outcome, which is to help more children experience the relationships, opportunities, and supports that allow them to thrive. It also influences how we think about professional learning. So we spent many years helping communities understand the impact of adverse childhood experiences, and now we are expanding that work to include the protective factors framework. So one of our staff recently became certified to provide that training, and we're looking forward to offering that to our partners very soon. So as we move forward, our prevention priorities continue to include strengthening school and community partnerships, improving local data and to guide decision-making, building protective factors and resilience, supporting evidence-informed prevention strategies, and continuing to bring additional state and federal resources into our communities. This final page just highlights the broader regional investment that supports this work. In addition to local discretionary funds, PACT contributed nearly $2.85 million in regional investments during 2025 through state, federal, local, collaborative, and partner funding. Approximately 91% of those dollars directly supported prevention, early intervention, youth services, and family support activities, while the remaining funds supported the infrastructure necessary to coordinate those efforts across the 5 counties. One thing I really appreciate about this page is that it represents more than funding. It represents partnerships. It represents trust. It represents schools, counties, public health, behavioral health providers, nonprofits, and community organizations choosing to work together around a common purpose. It represents additional resources being brought into our communities that might not otherwise exist. Research consistently tells us that prevention is one of the wisest investments communities can make, reducing long-term costs while improving outcomes for children and families. As I close today, I hope that one thing stands out with all of you, and that is that PACT exists to help communities work better together. Strong communities are built through collaboration. There's not a single agency or organization within the 5 counties that can meet every need facing children and families, but when counties, schools, public health, behavioral health providers, nonprofits, and community partners work together, we can create such stronger systems of support. So PAC's role is to help strengthen that system, those connections, leverage that additional resources into the region, and support the partners that we're working with to achieve what we're hoping to achieve for youth and families. So I want to sincerely thank you for your support and for letting me come here today and share these updates, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Sarah? Commissioner Emdek.
Not a question, but more of a comment, and some of you may have heard me say this before, but Minnesota Supreme Court Justice Ann McKeague at a presentation I was at a couple of years ago said something in the neighborhood of 85% of all people who are in the justice system, criminal justice system, have had a adverse childhood experience.
Absolutely.
To the point of Commissioner Berg, what is a ACE, adverse childhood experience? And I think I hadn't seen this term before about the benevolent childhood experience, was basically encouragement. And that it seems to me that can go a long ways to counter some of the effects of the adverse childhood experiences they have. So appreciated that.
Yeah, it absolutely does, and that's why I always like to tell people, if you can be the caring adult in your community, in your neighborhood, just talking to the kids and letting them know that you care is a positive experience that will live with them forever. So, thank you.
Sarah, you noted the drop in participation in the survey. Are these school districts that are just choosing not to?
Yes. Yes. So the Minnesota Student Survey, over the last 2 years that I've seen it implemented, has lost participation. Many of our conservative school districts in our rural regions don't appreciate some of the questions that are on the survey. So it's created a little bit of stigma in collecting that data. Parents aren't interested in asking their kids some questions about gender, things like that. Some of the other questions just are not well received, so school districts have decided not to take the survey. Also, schools are very tired of surveys, so they just were not participating. So we're working right now with our SHARE survey to really develop a youth wellness report. So the schools that did participate in the SHARE survey will get a nice packet talking about the strengths of their schools, some of the risk factors that were coming out through the data, but then also offering suggestions or implementation strategies to help improve the environment of the school. So we're hoping that by making these small changes that we can see an increase in participation the next round.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate that something like this that is ultimately helpful for helping students get through school and family and social interactions becomes a political football. And it's just really too bad that so many school districts are not appearing to be that particularly concerned about the mental health and well-being of their children.
I wouldn't say that they're not necessarily concerned about the mental health and their concerns that come from it. I think that it's more about finding the time, and with all of the other requirements within the school districts, they're just really having a hard time trying to prioritize different things. So that's why with the Regional School Mental Health Initiative, we're really working to engage those superintendents and school boards to ensure that the information is available and that we can give them the information they need to make an informed decision about participation in the future.
Yeah, and you didn't say it, I did.
I didn't what?
You didn't say it, I did.
Okay.
Because honestly, if your kids are truly important to you as a school district and as a school administrator, you'll find the time to help organizations make data-driven decisions. Because that's the only way we're going to get anywhere. I understand that nobody wants to, that there are folks who object to the gender-based questions and preference-based questions, that type of thing, but you've got to have the whole picture.
Yep, and you do have the option to skip some questions, so there's that too.
Then it should work for all of them.
Yeah,
So
we do hope so.
my editorial comment for the day so far.
Thank you for your support.
Commissioner Berg?
Just real quickly, I'd just like to comment about PAC4 for Families. My understanding, over the years, you've brought in tens of millions of dollars in prevention type of help in the 5 counties. Can you comment? I know originally when the legislation came out, it's my understanding that it was kind of set up as a county, program where, with public health and human services and community corrections, or it wasn't even community corrections back then, but get together, like it is now anyway, to get together to communicate better. But we're unique with 5 counties, and could you just comment a little bit about the membership we have, and if there are any other counties operating this way? Because I think the advantages would be all that collaboration, that the feds in the state look at that cooperation together, and that's what the government wants, people working together and looking at the problems.
Interesting that you say that. I just met with the state yesterday and was talking about a state plan for children's mental health initiatives. And we talked about how PACT is a 5-county joint powers and how many of the other collaboratives are just within their own counties, which makes it really easy for the state to communicate with them about the state plan and how they want to move forward with all of that work. But with our collaborative being 5 different counties, I'm not in each of our family service centers. So then I am not always involved in those conversations while our directors do a wonderful job of communicating things. But I was able to share a little bit about how our collaborative works and how we could support a children's mental health initiative across the state, a more regional approach. So they're very interested in hearing about that. And Wednesday, I'm going to be visiting a little bit more with them in person, trying to figure out if there is a regional way that we can move this state plan forward, or if we continue to look at it county by county, and communicating that with partners will be important too, and figuring all of that out together to see what makes the most sense. So just always looking for innovative ideas to support partners and counties to do all of the good work.
And who are the collaborating counties?
Candy, Ojai, McLeod, Meeker, Renville, and Yellow Medicine counties. And yeah, we have 44 partners that we work with pretty regularly. We're always trying to expand. Community organizations, nonprofits can all be part of the collaborative. So if you know of someone who might be interested in being part of that work, let me know. I'll send them an invitation. We meet monthly and just have time for networking and learning and sharing about all of the work that's happening across the 5 regions. Yeah, it's great.
All right, anyone else? Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work, thank you.
You want me to leave the bumper stickers? All right.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your week.
And you as well, thank you. All right, very good. At this time, we'll have Angela Larson, the Family Services Director for UCAP, come and visit with us regarding local homeless prevention aid funding presentation. Angela, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you today. United Community Action Partnership serves 13 counties with emergency housing services, Candy, Ojai probably being our largest one. I'm the Family Services Director for United Community Action Partnership, and over the last couple of years, we've been partnering with Candy, Ojai County with the Local Homeless Prevention Aid Fund. So I want to talk to you about how that's went so far, and then some different changes we're proposing for the future with that program. So if you move to the program overview slide, The local, basically local homeless prevention aid was created so local governments could help ensure that families with kids and youth avoid homelessness as much as possible. So they've allocated funds to each county and local tribes to develop programs that will then hopefully prevent homelessness. UCAP serves people with, from emergency housing to permanent supportive housing with people with disabilities and everything in between. But ultimately, of course, our goal would be to prevent homelessness from happening at all at all. The target populations for families are families with children ages pre-K through 12, and they have to be experiencing some kind of housing instability. So they could be living in overcrowded situations, paying more than 50% of their income towards rent, lacking a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, or other situations like evictions, which is probably the most common reason that people come to see us. When it comes to unaccompanied youth, all of those situations are also true, but they may be just in need of an alternate residence. In order to be eligible for the program, and this is something that we've been doing in most every county that we've been working with this program on, they have to be in the targeted populations listed. The income eligibility is 300% of federal poverty guidelines. They must be a resident of the county where the program is for at least 30 days, and they must not have been served by the Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. Maybe they're over income or their needs exceed the funding available, and they need ongoing assistance. So the reason for that is because UCAP also does receive the Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program grant funds to cover that 13 counties. But we were finding that there were some families that were just over the income guidelines, and that's very hard and fast. If they're just $1 over, we can't serve them with those funds. So we've basically targeted these programs, the LHPA funds, to serve those who can't be served by the Family Homeless Prevention, and only in Candido County. So things that we do with the program, or the program activities on the next slide, the biggest one is that we provide a rental assistance. We provide some other assistance, like if they're behind on their utilities and that's causing their housing instability. But one important part is that we provide support and case management services to improve housing stability. And then we connect them with all the different resources in the communities that might be a way to surround them with supports and help them to avoid this in the future. So basically, we help them with the funds, but we support them in trying to make sure that this is the last time that they become housing unstable. So when it comes to the use of the last funds that we were working together with for LHPA, we served 30 unduplicated households, and that was 97 unduplicated individuals. That's 2024 funds that had to be spent by the end of 2025. So that's kind of the time frame we were looking at. And when you look at the breakdown of assistance on the next slide, by far the money that was used most often was for rent or deposit, and a small amount was used for other direct assistance, and that was primarily utilities. On the next slide, the breakdown of the total funds was about $55,600, and most of the funds were used directly to pay for direct assistance for families. So this is rents going directly to landlords, utility payments going directly to the utility companies, and a smaller amount for admin and supportive services. So a really tiny amount for administration, but most of it for case management to work with those families on those supportive services. So like I said, these have been primarily used to help fill the gaps where the Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program isn't meeting the need. And so it was really excellent as a gap filler. We were able to do some ongoing assistance with families if it was needed. And that's something else that the FHPAP program does not do. So if someone maybe needed a month or two of assistance, we were able to assist them with a maximum of 3 months worth of assistance. 100% of the people served participated at least in some case management. If it was ongoing, it had to be at least monthly. And 100% exited the program with their housing stabilized. So that was really good outcomes for the program. When it comes to some of the situations that we see with people, some people have lost their job, and maybe they got a little bit behind on rent. So sometimes they only needed a couple of $100s before their next job would kick in, and then we were able to stabilize them, and that's all they really needed. Others, it took them a little bit longer to increase their income so they could afford their housing ongoing. Overall, I think the average amount of assistance that anyone was provided, regardless of the length of time they were in the program, was around $1,500, with the low part being around $300, I think. So if you go to the upcoming year's funding, there are 2 pots of money that are currently available to Candiota County. There's the 2025 funds that have to be spent by the end of this year. And then there are 2026 funds, which is a reduced amount, and that has to be spent by the end of 2027. So in the last few months, we've met with Candiota County, and we talked about ways that we could improve the program. And one of the things we decided was that we should put like a cap on the amount of assistance. So we were considering $2,500 as the max amount of assistance for families, and that financial literacy and budgeting participation, so even a little bit more than what we've been doing to try to really stabilize families, would be required if they require any kind of ongoing subsidy. So it could be waived if they only required one-time assistance, but if they needed support for 1 or more extra months, they had to participate in those other types of services. So that's what we're proposing, is to have it a little bit more intense for those longer-term families, and then to place a cap on this year's funding. Does anyone have questions about the program?
Any questions for the director? Commissioner Anderson?
So I serve on the UCAP board, so Angela kind of knows me, but this isn't like easy street when they get on that. There's requirements that they have to do. They gotta, there's strings attached with these funds, and it doesn't go, the funds don't go directly to that individual generally. It goes more to like pay the utilities or the rent.
Right, it goes right to the property manager, no funds go directly to the client. And like we said, they have to participate in case management in order to get that next month's worth of subsidy. So if they don't participate, that doesn't happen. I will say that UCAP is receiving some additional FHPAP dollars. One of the reasons why we're seeing such a crunch right now is because starting October 1st, there was a drastic increase across the state in those funds. So it was decreased by about 80%. We went from having about $5 million in 2 years to serve our 13 counties to about $1 million in 2 years. And that was just because COVID and some special appropriated funds were no longer available, and it went back down to the base funding. We did find out that we're going to be receiving some additional dollars in the region as well, and UCAP applied for it, is going to be receiving those funds. It's not for sure exactly how much we'll be having for our 13 counties, but that will restore some of the funds that we had available. I think we'll be getting around $1.3 million for that program. But again, this program is for those that wouldn't qualify for FHPAP. So it's good news that we'll have more resources than we've been dealing with for the last several months.
And you also help, if I can, you also help them with budgeting and try to get them back on their feet that way, so that they can kind of see where they gotta focus their resources when they do hopefully get a job. But I think it's a good program for the area, because, sometimes the wheels just fall off when you're moving through life and need a little bit of a help, and so it gets them back in, and they get to participate back in society. And then when they pay taxes, you guys help them do their taxes. And with volunteers, who can imagine volunteering for doing taxes? But anyway, that's another topic for me. But it really brings a lot of money back, and I think it was like 7 million something this last time, and it's amazing. And people that have low income, and pretty much anybody, when you get a refund from the government, you're gonna spend it, and you spend it locally, and that's just a great program, I think.
Catching up on bills, you're right. We served over 3,000 households with that program and over $7 million in tax refunds. So that's a good program too. Thanks.
Commissioner Imdek?
Yeah, do you still have the automobile program where you take in donations and they get them fixed? Because it seems like access or reliable transportation to work is a huge factor in people getting over the hump on self-serving for their own good.
Right, that is transportation is a huge issue, particularly in our most rural areas. They might be able to afford to live in a smaller community, but the jobs are maybe in the larger communities. But if you can't get there, it's really hard to hold down a job. We do have that program still, so people can donate cars. It's pretty limited. We don't get a lot of donated cars, but when they do, we get them ready and out to the families that qualify for that program. Thanks.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just really like to comment about UCAP, or United Community Action Partnership's been around for years. And one of the things it does is filling in the gaps for services that are needed. And you've done such an excellent job of that.
Thank
You know, with regular county government, we have so many other rules and regulations specific that you have more flexibility to find those gaps and fill them. And you've done a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been around 60 years this year.
Yes, okay.
All right, well then, let's segue into the next item, which is consideration of the local homeless prevention aid contract. And our Human Services Director, Caroline Kahn, is here to present. Caroline, good morning.
Good morning. As Commissioner Gardner said, I'm Caroline Kahn. I have the opportunity to serve as the Health and Human Services Director for Candy, Ojai County. And before you, for consideration, is a continuation of our purchase of service contract with UCAP for this year, the 2025 funding period dollars given to Candy, Ojai County to facilitate our local homeless prevention aid dollars for the community. So as you will see, it'll be $35,000. We did put up to $3,500 per client internally. They will be having a $2,500 cap, but we wanted to leave them the flexibility to, as needed. What we've noticed in the community is there is an extreme back rent issue that we keep encountering. So leaving some flexibility. We trust our partners. This is our third iteration of this contract. And giving them the flexibility as needed and the autonomy to work with our clients in that way. As Angela mentioned, a priority will be focused on that budgeting and case management support within this grant period. This will finish out this year, and then we will be able to focus on the next year, or the current year, 2026 funding period for the next year as we move forward and look forward to continuing our partnership with UCAP in that time period as well. I do have an update on this funding. We did find out in the last legislative session that they are looking to extend this funding for another 4 years. So this is very minimal funding that the state legislature has put forward that is able to make a very significant impact in our local communities. So very excited to see that continue. So staff recommendation, it would be to approve the contract with United Community Action Partnership in the amount of $35,000.
Questions for the director? Wishes of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to provide those financial support for UCAP up not to exceed $35,000.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with UCAP. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Caroline, thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Jennifer Swenson, Prairie Woods ELC Executive Director, on their funding request. Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, for having me back. Jennifer Swenson, Executive Director with Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center. And just to recap that at your last meeting, you approved a resolution authorizing our application to the Greater Minnesota Legacy Grant. And then we talked about the project in more detail. And then there was a funding request made by Prairie Woods, and that was tabled until today's meeting so that all the commissioners would have the opportunity to participate. So as I mentioned at your last meeting, we've continued working to refine the project through our Building and Grounds Committee and board and staff, and have already completed several rounds of refinements, mainly to keep costs under control, particularly with the education building renovation, while still preserving the project's highest priorities, which is accessibility. And today we have continued to do cost estimates, and we have been able to work with the architects and engineers as we're finalizing the application. And as I mentioned, by focusing on the highest priorities, our maximum budget is now $3 million for the project. And that's what we're planning to apply for as a maximum at the end of this month. And so we are still preserving the project's core improvements, the new accessible lower-level entrance with an interior connection, and parking closer to the building, additional parking, the flat accessible walkway that addresses the longstanding challenges that we talked about in more detail last time, which is access to the building without so much effort. So before you today is a conditional county commitment funding of $250,000 to be used only if Prairie Woods is awarded the Greater Minnesota Regional Park Legacy Grant. And then Prairie Woods is prepared to contribute up to $750,000 in local matching funds. So the county's participation would allow us to submit a very strong grant application and to maximize as much state funding as possible in that way for these improvements to this county-owned public facility that will, improve its access and use for residents and visitors for many years to come. And from the county's perspective, the $250,000 is contingent upon receiving the grant and would be funded throughout the life of the grant, which is multi-year, not to be spent all at once. Thank you for your consideration. There's many at the table that are involved with the project, so I'm happy to answer questions or be involved in discussion at this point.
All right, questions for Jennifer? Commissioner Imday.
And not so much a question that, I was at the governing board meeting last night. We went over much of this last night, and some tough decisions had to be made with between wants and needs, I guess you could say. The upper level is, had been envisioned to have some improvements and some efficiencies made. And we've had to set those aside to focus on the real need. And if you scroll down to one of the pictures of as you walk up, that's a great facility, but it's starting to see some age. And therefore, I'm going to support the request and make a motion that we approve the $250,000 as contingent on the grant.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the funding request. Discussion. Commissioner Berg?
And just a question about where's the money going to come from?
If I may. This isn't a budgeted item, so if approved by the board, we would pull it from reserves. And in conversations with Jennifer, and correct me if I'm wrong, it wouldn't necessarily come out of 1 year. We could budget for it, in 27, 28. If not 27, we could budget for it in 28 then, or just pull from reserves. If the board would like to be specific in that request, or we would put money into the budget for 27 or 28, or just pull from reserves.
Or some combination therein.
Correct, yep.
Leave that up to the discretion of the administrator and her team as to where the funding comes from. Appreciate that, thank you. The $750,000, I assume that comes out of some reserves that you folks have as well?
Correct, yep, through some private donations, trust contributions that we've been saving over quite a period of time now for this project that's, like I said, our highest priority, and a great partnership with Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission with their funding.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So part of what you're asking is, how does Prairie Woods generate income? And we have a lot of programs out there that, for the youth. But I'll put a shameless plug in for about 1.5 months from now, or just over a month from now, is the Music Under the Stars annual event that is held every year. It's the major fundraiser for the organization every year. And there's, if you've never been to it, it's a very enjoyable evening and an opportunity to support a really good regional function and project.
Commissioner Bergen.
I've been impressed ever since it was organized, and Candioi County took that step to do that. And it's kind of hard not to be supportive of it, and it certainly does need some upgrades, but it's got such a big footprint when it comes to tourism in Candioi County, and as we all know, that's our second biggest industry, and it's a good investment. It's a very good investment.
All right, anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the funding request. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Jennifer, good luck with the application.
Thank you very much. We'll continue to keep you posted on the application progress. Thanks.
Very good. At this time, we have zoning administrator Eric Van Dyken, and here to talk about a nuisance abatement. Eric, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Eric Van Dyken, County Zoning Administrator, here before you today with a action item request relating to a nuisance concern. The staff proposed action would be for the board to order the abatement of the nuisance in question, and that the abatement costs be assessed to the property. The property in question is owned by Roger Moon. It's in just north of Long Lake, North Long Lake here in the county on 212th Avenue. A portion of the nuisance has been abated, specifically the unlicensed vehicles have become licensed, so that portion of the nuisance is no longer of concern. The item or the area of concern that remains is the condition of the home on site. The home has had a fairly large hole in the roof for a good number of years now, and it has rendered the home to be in a very poor condition. A lot of water, of course, has come through that roof and has caused collapse and structural concerns within the house. So that is probably an overview. If you have questions, I could do my best to respond to them.
Questions for Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Eric, last time we postponed this action because we were a little uncomfortable whether or not the homeowners had received the notice. Do you know that they have, and that they received the notice, and number one, and number two, was there a response?
Yeah, so on June 17th, Gary did speak to Mr. Moen, who had indicated that he had been late in receiving some of the communication. Gary then also did send out a letter, certified mail return receipt on that same day, and that was signed for on June 25th by Wanda Moen. And so that is confirmation that they've received the notices.
And if I may, did they indicate that they were going to take any action, or they were comfortable with us just mitigating it as we see fit, or was?
There was no more discussion about anticipated further action, just a notice that this action was potentially upcoming.
And so how would you see the mitigation taking place? The cars are gone, or at least they're licensed at this point, but the house is still pretty tough shape.
Mitigation in this case would consist of demolition and disposal of the home.
Okay. And the cost of doing that would then be applied to the taxes?
That's correct.
And I think we asked last time if the taxes were current. I'm not sure you had that.
They were.
They were current, okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here, are the homeowners in attendance at all today? Would you care to address us in any way? Sure. And, yeah, pull that down towards you, and just introduce yourself and your address, and,
I'm Roger Moen. I'm the owner of that property you were just talking about. And let's just say it this way, ever since I moved out there, our one neighbor has been calling pretty much anybody and everybody under the sun. I have had cops out there at least 100 times for stupid things because the one homeowner, they just don't like the way the place looks. Ever since we moved out there, it's just been one hassle after another, after another, after another. And right now, we just can't afford to fix anything right now. We're trying, we're doing the best we can. We had to move out back in November. My wife had to do all that by herself. While she was doing that, I was in the hospital up in Fargo. While there, I found out I have a bone infection, I need a special operation, and the people that are working with me are trying to find the doctor to do it, and it's been a nightmare from day one here. And we're doing the best. And for the vehicles, at one time, I thought you could have vehicles on your property, but I guess you can't unless they're licensed. So we're keeping the license up to date. We just got them, we just didn't get out there in time. And the one thing I would like to know, who's going onto my property to look at these vehicles? Because they're not near the road, one's behind the house, and for somebody to even see it, they have to literally walk onto my property and get back there to look at it. So somebody, I'm not talking to anybody that works for you, somebody personal is calling, and they've been going onto my property without my permission. And I can't do anything because I don't know who they are. And with the laws and everything, nobody with the county can tell me because it's all anonymous. And I don't know who to talk to about that. I have one neighbor that's watching the property for me right now. And he's keeping the grass cut and everything, keeping it look right. Because if I don't cut the grass, all the neighbors are literally yell at me. They'll be on the road, and if I'm outside, they yell at me. And we've been dealing with this for 19 years. And it got so bad a few years ago, the last sheriff we had, he actually told his deputies to quit coming out because he said the calls are just ridiculous. They're call about dogs not getting walked. Supposedly at one time, our house was so full of dog poop that I couldn't get through it. I'm in a wheelchair. If I run over dog poop, it's gonna be on my wheels. It just, the different things that, I've had child protection out there, I've had adult protective services. I've gone through every single county action to get help, and I'm either got too much money or the house doesn't qualify. And right now, we're just trying our best to just stay above water. And if I could afford to sell it, I would, because you sell your property, you gotta clean it out anyways. And to tear it down, I need money to do that. And it's just, right now, we're just, like I said, we're just barely staying afloat. Like me and my wife, we don't know how much longer we'll be able to stay in the apartment that we're in right now. Because my income ain't that great. I went to banks and they told me I don't have an income. I go to the county says I have too much money. So I'm literally banging my head against the wall. I talked to one company that, tried to get the roof fixed. They won't work on it because it's a modular home. They don't consider it a real home. They told me to burn the place down and start all over. So like I said, I'm just pretty much screwed. I mean, the house, yes, it's in bad shape. I'm not gonna lie. It needs to be completely redone or tear down, one of the two. And I've been looking at trailers, and the cheapest trailer I found was, $14,000. I ain't got that kind of money, And I have one neighbor offer me to buy the place, but like I said, for me to sell it, I gotta empty it out. And that's gonna cost money too. And my wife can't do it because when she moved us out, she got I think they call it a hernia. So right now, I'm just trying to, get by until I can figure out what's going on with my health and everything. And I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. Like I said, I've been banging my head against the wall. Everywhere I turn, it's always no. I went to TRICAP, Habitat for Humanity. They have all said, no, we can't help you. I go to the social services, they say, oh, we'll help you. And then 2 weeks later, oh, we can't help you. You make too much money, or you don't qualify. Or if you do qualify, here's $75 in food stamps. That's the most they could ever give us. So it's like, I don't know what to do. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
So you mentioned consideration of tearing it down. Have you gotten an estimate as to what it would cost to tear it down and
Well,
improve
I
it
know
so
it's not
that you
gonna be
can?
cheap. I know that much, because, you know, to get like an excavator or whatever out there, that's a couple $1,000s right there alone. I know that much.
Does staff have any idea of what it might cost? Because we have Public Works do it or hire somebody, correct? Yep.
Because I know no matter which way I go, you gotta get a dumpster to get the stuff put in the dump, then it goes to the dump and whatever.
Well, and you can appreciate the position that we're in as the board and what the community is in, so we have to find some way forward to mitigate this, both for your
understand.
benefit and for our benefit, so.
Yeah. And the one thing that gets me is I know who's doing all these callings. But since I don't have a name, I can't do anything, and I'm afraid if I confront them, it's gonna get ugly, you know? And me and my wife, we don't know what to do. When we bought this place, we thought we got a great deal. It turned out we got a great deal, all right. Turned out the shingles were actually recalled and nobody told us. There's no waterproofing. No, it's just, we found out why we got the place so cheap.
I'd like to ask our county attorney, Shane Baker. Shane, what, is there anything else that we should know as a board in terms of process, options?
At this point, I couldn't give that kind of legal opinion. This is just done now. Look into that.
Yeah, because we were told that we had to move out of there, or the county attorney was gonna evict us or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what the deal was. So my wife, she worked with a social worker from Adult Protective Services. They found us an apartment, you know. Like I said, while that was all going on, I was up in Fargo.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add?
Just that I would just love to hang on to this property, because that's the only thing that we actually own that I could, because I do know there's gonna be a day that I'm gonna be gone. It's just, that's life. And I'd like to have something to give over to my son and daughter and my wife, so they'd have something to turn onto for financial. You know, that's my, hope. But my biggest hope is actually get this place fixed up so it doesn't look so bad. Because that's what the biggest problem that these people have is the looks. And they've let me know many times they don't like the way I was doing things out there. I mean, we had a hole underneath our house at one time. My wife tried to fix it. Neighbor came over and yelled at her, "You can't fix that because the cats that live here need someplace to go." Well, we said, okay, fine. Next thing you know, the hole underneath my house got destroyed by these cats. They ripped out all the insulation. There was frozen pipes. I mean, it was just ugly. And if we try to say something to them, they say that we're in the wrong. There's one person that's out there, he thinks he's in charge of the whole property. I'm not the only one who's ever had problems with these people. That's why I'm not gonna say who's helping me, because if they find out, they'll make his life a living hell. And we had one gentleman that helped us. These people are so bad that this gentleman's girlfriend broke up with him because he was helping us. And I asked the guy, well, are you sure? He said, no, that's the reason she broke up with him, because he was being helpful. I don't understand these people, and I don't understand what their problem is with me and my property. Yes, I know with a house with a hole in the roof, it doesn't look great, but they don't know my pension issues, my situation or anything. I ended up buying $5,000 worth of lumber, thinking we can get up there and fix it, and then my wife ended up getting sicker, so she couldn't get up there, and I can't afford to hire anybody. So I mean, like I said, we don't know what to do anymore sometimes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you for
Commissioner
listening.
Berg.
Yes, just maybe a couple of questions too, if I may. Looking at this, I commend you with the efforts you have made, that apparently you're paying your taxes and you license the cars. except this, just can't go on either. So what would be the procedure then if we move on this? Then we clean it up and then sell the property, and if there's, no? We would just clean it up and put it on their taxes.
Yep,
So,
that's the board's options.
okay.
See, I
And
still
your
have property in
children,
that
and
house.
nobody else can help you, even though you want to give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even turn to my family because that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But I mean, we had to leave a lot of our property in the house, in the garage. And we just didn't have room for it. So we had to leave it there, and we're kind of using the building as storage right now.
If I may, the language, this is in the Candioi County's nuisance ordinance, and the language does say if the owner, the responsible party, does fail to comply, it is the wishes of the board, if there's documentation that prove that, and if they have had communication, but it would be the wishes of the board, but the process, if the responsible party fails, to move towards the abatement process.
Commissioner Imdak.
So, Mr. Ramon, if you had some time to come up with a plan, do you think you could come up with a plan for mitigating the nuisance? Because we are required by the nuisance, however, I would ask the county attorney,
As I know, if I understand everything right, the biggest nuisance is the hole in the roof. And the licensed vehicles, but I'll see on that, that's no problem. Because I'm keeping the vehicles as a backup for the vehicle we have. Because with my medical situation, I gotta have a car. Because I've already driven, like I said, all the way up to Fargo just to see a doctor. And the next doctor you're gonna send me to is out in South Dakota.
But to answer my question, if you had some additional time, would you be able to come up with a plan to keep us from using our resources to mitigate the
I
nuisance?
honestly, I wish I could say yes, but I really don't know. I want to say yes and actually do this, but I don't know. The way my luck has been going, it's probably going to be no.
I'm going to ask Eric to come back up. Roger, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
Letting us know this information. Eric, in the process, has the home been determined to be not habitable and it has to come down?
It has been determined by the building official that the home is not habitable. That's correct.
Okay, and so it's structurally unsound and all of those things that would trigger an action like this?
That is correct.
Just to follow up on that.
Commissioner Berg, and
It's
then
a very good question. So just fixing the roof is not going to solve the problem. It's a matter of safety, health and safety, trying to live in that, correct?
Structurally, the trusses are significantly compromised. The roof has collapsed, or ceilings have collapsed, and the floor is significantly compromised. Aerial photography does indicate that water would have been getting in at least 5-6 years. So that course of time and moisture over that course of time does significantly impact the structural integrity.
So may I follow up? So it's not realistic to repair anything at this point?
Well, I would just say that a repair would be a significant undertaking and would have to be working with the building official to ensure that's done in a way that meets code and is itself a safe repair.
Commissioner Imdak.
Thank you. I recall shortly after becoming a commissioner about a complaint that we had over in the Eagle Lake area, and I can't remember the address, but I want to say it's on the kind of the southeast side of Eagle Lake, where there was a structure that was in terrible condition, and I believe at that time a decision was made that there's nothing we could do about it because it didn't meet some standards and the taxes were up to date. Now, before I can support this abatement, I would like a review of what the ruling was on that property. And is it still there? I think it's referred to as the pink something, pink house or pink. I know there was a lot of consternation about mitigating that, and the decision was, we can't do it because of, and I think it was because the taxes were current.
This is,
Commissioner Berg, do you recall this?
yes, I do. The details of it, no. But in many ways, it's a whole different situation. And it says that person, wasn't having the health problems like this situation, somebody who just wanted to live there, and just that's how he wanted to live. And in that condition, this is a whole different thing, and he can't, transportation's an issue of, getting food and everything. This is a lot different situation.
Well, and
But still, you have issues, exactly.
And I could be
Person's
wrong.
right to choose where they want to live,
I could be wrong about this, but
but that's a shame.
it seems like this was a place for them, they might have lived someplace else, and it was a place for them to go to. Some of us have a cabin off-site from our home that we go to. So I'm not gonna support mitigating this at this point until I can get some, and I see the county attorney making some notes. Get some recall as to what happened in that case. Because if there was precedent set there, it may apply here.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Commissioner Emdick, do you recall the year or approximate time frame for that?
Well, it had to be in the last 12 and a half years. I was a commissioner at the time, but it was early in my 12 years, but
And they were
Goes way
living there
back.
full-time?
no, they weren't living there. It was their place, a second place for them, just like it appears to be in this case now. They're living in an apartment. And I don't know that our nuisance ordinance distinguishes between wanting to live in some place and a place to come to hang out. I just would feel more comfortable getting the background and the ruling on that one.
Do you recall where on the lake that property was located?
I wouldn't have the address, but I seem to recall it was on the southeast side near that Lawler Beach area Lawler Beach Road, I think it's called. I see public, maybe you know the place. Is it still there? And has it ever been, nothing's ever changed there? And if this moves to mitigation, then that should say, then the other one could be mitigated too, and probably should be.
I think this, Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a different situation too, but I still think maybe legally we need some advice at this point. It's a different situation, that one, so I'm thinking that I can't mentally compare it that well. This is a situation that maybe not have the resources, but it's a nuisance. The ordinance is there, right?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may, I would just note that staff has simply proceeded according to the language of the ordinance and the process laid out for us. And that leads to the recommendation that's in front of you.
Yep, and we understand your process and your recommendation.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I think the concern is if we proceed, are we legally, based on the information, okay to do that in the county?
Mr. Chair, and I apologize that I didn't think about that situation last time when we postponed this decision to today. But I guess I would move to postpone it one more board meeting, the next board meeting, to get a explanation of how that one was handled on Eagle Lake.
Well, I guess I can do County Attorney Baker. I think I would, want to hear back that these decisions, this is legal, that we can do it.
So we have a motion to postpone until date certain our final decision on this to our next meeting, which would be the first meeting in August. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and I would encourage the owner to, if you have a plan or can have a plan, that you get that to us by the next meeting, or feels like there's gonna be a likelihood that a decision will be made, and so, you know, we're doing the best we can as well to satisfy neighbors and the nuisance ordinance that we have.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Could I
All
say,
right.
could I say one thing as a building official?
You may.
Chris Lawrence, Canada County Building Official here. Say, I do remember that house, Roger, it's on Marbury Beach. That one doesn't have no physical structural damage to it right now. The roof has been reshingled, so everything watertight has been being kept out. So that I can say on that one currently, just by doing our inspections around the county and seeing it. So that's probably why there's no more talk of that one. But
Mr. Chair. At the time, that wasn't the case. It went for some time after that. I believe there was vegetation growing up through the soffits and through the roof, and the decision was made based on those conditions that day, not on if you would get it fixed, you know, going forward. They did decide to get it fixed, but I'm just, in the abundance of caution, suggesting that we get the opinion from the county attorney.
thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. 4 ayes, 1 no. The motion is agreed to, and we will stand in recess for 10 minutes.
Well, I'm sure you can. IT, are you ready?
Find a time that works.
Okay, we're.
The Candiac County Board of Commissioners is back from recess. At this time, we will hear from our HHS supervisors in regard to a data sharing agreement. And Dana and Carrie, please introduce yourselves and tell us what you have for us today.
Dana Wenish, Financial Assistant Supervisor. And I'm Carrie Sharp, Financial Assistant Supervisor. Our ask today that we're coming with is we are looking for approval of a data sharing agreement. What this is it's a pilot project with DCYF for the Department of Children, Youth, and Families in collaboration with our CaseWorks program, which is our electronic filing system program. What they're doing is they're teaming together to create an informational-only portal for clients to be able to look up the status of their cases. So they can use this portal. If they haven't gotten approved yet, instead of calling or coming in, they can take this portal and look to see, oh, I'm still missing my pay stubs. I'm still missing my residency verifications. Sorry, I didn't know where you wanted to.
Nope, that's okay. So right now, this is not available for the healthcare cases. So it's not something that's gonna replace our portal that we have through CaseWorks. It's something that's gonna work really well for the clients that have like that shorter approval time. Cases like Snap and Cash have a much shorter window that they have to have those cases approved. So there's often a lot of interaction with these clients or a little bit more urgency to get documentation from them. So we feel it'll be beneficial for those clients and for the workers if we would be able to do this program.
Cutting down on the phone calls and in-agency, the emails. There's no cost to Candiac County with this program. And it will be able to provide that real-time update for clients and workers.
All right, questions?
Yeah, other counties doing a similar thing, and
There's a handful. I thought they had
I thought I
said,
saw something to that effect.
yeah, there's maybe like 11 or 12, I believe.
Yeah.
They asked for voluntary participation and I put our name in the hat to see if they'd let us give it a whirl, and we were chosen as one of the pilot projects, so.
And so then the counties that are already participating in this, they are seeing a reduction in calls
Yes.
and people being able to look at this themselves and say, oh, I need this, that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it helps that it's 24/7. You know, so it's outside our business hours. So if somebody works at the same time we work and they're not able to contact us, they can check on it while we're not here.
Sure, sure. And that'll segue well into the next item that you're going to talk to us about.
I was just
Administrator
gonna
Baker?
say, elaborate on, and you did, you just elaborated on that now clients will be able to access this at 6 PM, or if they are getting off their shift at 10 PM, they can follow up instead of, you know, if they don't have time to call, and then that all gets lost, and then things get behind.
Yeah.
So if there was anything else that was missing, I think that's a really important piece of this, is that we're allowing our clients to access this information outside of their normal business hours to keep things moving and to overall reduce those calls.
Yeah, Dana and I do believe this will help with our 7-day SNAP window as well. So that
How would
reduces
we word
errors.
the motion then?
Yeah, that's
So this is, so this would be we would need a motion to authorize staff to enter into the data sharing agreement with Next Chapter Technology. Is there a motion to that effect?
I so moved.
Thank you, and a second.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imdeck.
I'm wondering, you mentioned about the segue into the next subject, which isn't an action item, but it seems to tie into maybe substantiating the rights that you have for this data sharing. Is that what that is?
Sort of. Leah, so what we're looking at more of the tie is the time saved for our eligibility workers that can help cut down on some of the lags that we're having.
So EVA can only share public information. EVA can't go into our programs to share that information. This program is able to share that client information, and they create a secure account. So they're logging into a secure account with the two-step,
Yeah.
thank you. So the clients are able to actually see their information versus calling in and just asking. Correct. And if they called in and asked Eva, what's the status of my SNAP application, they're gonna have to talk to their worker.
Got it, thank you.
So, yep.
All right, anyone else? We have a motion and a second to approve the request. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. And Eva update.
This one's Leah, and she can come help me with some of the statistics that she got.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Leah Fernelius, Administrative Coordinator for Health and Human Services. And we are working on, for all of Health and Human Services, implementing the EVA project in basically multiple phases. However, we have gone live with EVA R&R, which is
Rights and responsibilities.
Rights and responsibilities. I couldn't think of that. I was thinking of rest and relaxation, but that was not the right thing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. And I really want to share where they are. Dana's unit has been primarily the unit that has used this. And what rights and responsibilities is, if you remember from your demo, is every time they do an application for SNAP,
Yep.
they have to read a rights and responsibilities. It is like 10 miles long. It goes on forever. In English. If they have to use an interpreter, basically that 10-mile long document has to be read twice. Once by the English-speaking person and then interpreted by the natural language person. So as of last night, as of yesterday evening, we launched this on June 11th. We've had 159 calls go to EVA Rights and Responsibilities. That has saved 21 hours and 41 minutes of staff time reading rights and responsibilities, which in reality, that is low because it doesn't take into consideration that right now we have Spanish available, that there isn't interpreter time figured in with that, or interpreter billing time as well. So it would actually be more, but it's very hard to determine what that is when you don't have that interpreter in there. Of those 159 calls, 153 calls were completed. That means that the person that listened to the rights and responsibilities did provide a response, and that was noted, so then the staff can go in and finish their process of that SNAP application because the rights and responsibilities has been completed. We had 6 calls that terminated. The staff can see that, they can call that person back. 2 of those 6 were us testing. So only 4 have hung up at this point in time. We are also soon going to be launching the Somali version of rights and responsibilities that will greatly increase more staff time. Do you have any questions on rights and responsibilities, that portion?
Commissioner Imdak and then Commissioner Berg.
Well, I would make number 5 hanging up on, before I heard it. It reminds me of the agreements that you have to scroll through.
It's exactly
Yep,
that.
it's exactly that.
So do they get an opportunity to fast forward and say, yeah, I agree?
But they can't
have
fast
to listen
forward.
to it all.
They
Yep.
have to, and that's one thing that's required is they have to do that. That is part of the requirements.
Even if they get up and
Thank you,
go
Mr.
have,
Chair.
get
So
a fresh cup of coffee? Well,
They can't because they asked somewhere in the middle for you
your
to
names.
attest to this. You can't do that.
Okay, how long does it actually take to go through that?
8 minutes and 27 seconds on average.
Feels like 28 minutes.
Yeah. Trust me, our workers feel like it's about 10 times that amount.
But now think if you have if it was, 2 months ago before we launched and you've got a Spanish-speaking person or Somali-speaking person, you've now doubled that because you have to read it, the interpreter has to say it, and you keep going back and forth in small sections where we don't, once Somali's launched, we don't have to deal with that.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So how many times a year, week, month does this happen?
Daily. multiple times a day.
So that would have been several hours of staff time when you add up those 18 minutes or whatever it is, and sometimes times 2 over the
Yes.
year.
If you look at this, that's 5 weeks, and it's 159 calls. So
Is this an action item?
No, that's not an action item.
it's an update, don't worry.
You've taken the action. And the peak is interesting because the peak times are 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and the 2 o'clock hour. So our staff are pushing people to EVA R&R the most at those times. But it is available, you know, really at all times of the day for us. If we happen to have somebody working at 1 o'clock in the morning, they can push it to EVA at 1 o'clock in the morning for R&R. We don't, but it's there, it is a 24/7. As well as if we have, let's just say in a crazy world, we had 50 staff and all 50 staff pushed people to R&R at the same time, she can do it. So,
Well, I'm glad to hear that that it's moving forward and that we're looking at some possibilities of some great times.
I think, Mr. Chair, if I may,
You may.
it really checks off the boxes for government. You know, people campaign on the 2 E's of efficiency and effective. And this is being very efficient, and I think it's an important thing to do.
right. And on the EVA side with the rights and responsibilities, even if so what happens on our dashboard side, if this person says their name and they kind of mumble, it's not super clear, we can listen to the recording and hear their voice attest to their rights and responsibilities. So we have that piece in there.
All right, anyone else?
I just want to update you on EVA Phone too.
Yes, please.
So EVA Phone is the piece that you guys were thinking about when they were talking about the status tracker. So EVA Phone is our AI attendant that can answer questions, no personal information, no access in, but we are working on getting that launched so that when citizens call in, they will be greeted by EVA to help answer any questions they might have. A lot of times they're just looking for some information, and EVA can do that. We are also launching that in phases. The first phase that we'll launch will once again be income maintenance. So right now, when you call 231-7800, you get a tree of choices of things to do. If you select one, once we launch, EVA will be the first grab of that to say, hey, I'm EVA, I'm an AI assisted phone person, and I can answer any questions. If they say, hey, I want to speak to my worker, she'll transfer to the worker. If they say, hey, I just need to know what it takes to apply for SNAP, she'll be able to help with that. So we're still in the process of getting that done, working very closely with Scott and IT because this is also part of the Microsoft Phone piece. So Scott has signed the contract and we're waiting for Microsoft to process that contract so we can get the licenses to get those phones set up in the income maintenance portion. So once that's in there, then we'll be able to continue to move forward launching that.
Mr. Chair. Someone remind us what our investment in EVA has been, because there's different components that we can purchase sort of à la carte, but what did we commit to?
We committed to EVA Phone and EVA Rights and Responsibility. The one that we did not commit to was called EVA Companion. And EVA Companion is behind the scenes for staff behind the scenes. It's not a forward-facing piece, it's a back-facing piece. Maybe something we move to later on, but right now we're not gonna focus on the EVA Companion. I don't remember what our cost investment was.
About $150,000 for 2 years up front.
Yeah,
They locked in that price for 2 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember, it was $115.
yeah. And they've been an amazing company to work with and work on getting things done. Also, there is a state user group because more and more counties in the state are using it. So we have a state user group meeting every month to talk about things that are very specific to Minnesota, especially our Somali-speaking population and getting that moving forward.
Hey, I think my local pharmacy uses something similar. It may even be EVA. I'm not sure, but every once in a while I get text. You know, hi, this is whatever my your AI pharmacy assistant, and your prescription for X is ready. So, which is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
All right, and so this was, this piece is just for
This is just
information
an
only. We already
informational-
voted on the other.
Yep, so
We
you know
determined
what's
that.
going on.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep, we just want you to know what's going on with that project since it's rather large.
All right, outstanding.
Thank you.
Any final questions?
No,
Have a
Very
great
good.
day, thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'll ask County Auditor Treasurer Lisa Weiss to come up with a request for appointments.
Good morning. Lisa Weiss, Candy, Ojai County Auditor Treasurer. I'm here to request appointment of 2 commissioners to the 2026 primary election canvassing board. Per Minnesota statute 204C.31, the county needs to appoint 2 commissioners to the county canvassing board. The appointed commissioners may not be candidates for election. Both Commissioner Berg and Commissioner Gardner, who meet the criteria of not being candidates for the election, have volunteered to serve on the canvassing board. The canvassing board will meet on August 13th at 1 p.m. in the conference room at the County Office Building, 400 Benson Avenue Southwest. I request the board to act on Resolution 2026-30 that appoints Commissioner Berg and Commissioner Gardner to the 2026 primary election canvassing board.
So moved on the resolution 2026-30.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to approve the appointments to the canvassing board. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator Baker with a 2026 fiber internet project update.
Kelsey Baker, Candy County Administrator. Before you today, you have a request from, I almost said the broadband committee, but not quite the broadband committee, but it did resonate within the broadband committee through KCED for the Whitefield Township to continue making that connection. Prior to this, it was brought forward to use the remaining ARPA dollars. Since then, we found out there should have been a contract in place. Since then, with internal discussions with commissioners, Mark Besha and our previous broadband chair committee, or broadband committee chair, and then KCED, they've had conversations with Whitefield Township. I've had conversations with Vibrant. We feel that this is, for connectivity, a good project to see to fruition. And so prior, the original dollar amount to ask was $100,800, and today the ask is $88,927.98. This would be 28% of the total cost for 70 passings in Savea in Whitefield Township. And so therefore, I would recommend these dollars would come from reserves and would be one-time expenditures when requested from Vibrant to complete the project.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions for Administrator Baker?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we proceed with this and find the reserves or find the resources or the dollar amount out of the reserves.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Imdeck?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there, as you recall, there was some leftover dollars, ARPA dollars for broadband at the time we had to make a commitment. And so actually those dollars went into reserves and now they're just kind of coming back out. So it's not new levy dollars that are being used here, although even if it was, I'd probably support it. But the other thing about this project is if this project gets done, then Vibrant gets to, has been approved for some line extension grants, which don't cost us anything. So it's really more drops than what is indicated here that will take place as a result of this.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Imdike's point, this wouldn't be the first time the county put in levy dollars for a broadband project. There were a few projects from the beginning that the county put in the $50,000 to match a township. So this wouldn't be, that we're setting a precedent. This has happened before. We tried to use those ARPA dollars, and I would say the county with the broadband committee were very successful. Candioi County is very well known down at the state with DEED, with their broadband department, on going after those dollars with our matching ARPA dollars. So I agree with Commissioner Imdake's statement, and this is just opening the door for the line extension grant as well.
There were a lot of areas that those ARPA dollars could have gone into. And the county at that time, and I was just coming on at that time, made the solid commitment to put these all towards 75% of those ARPA dollars towards broadband. And it's a tangible benefit to the entire county. Commissioner Berg, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Just a quick question. I think it was even higher than 75%, but yeah, it was a significant amount. And I'm very proud of being part of that with the board, that we made that decision. And along that same line, I just want to say, if it was levy dollars, and if we have plenty of levy dollars, I think this is infrastructure, and this is a good expenditure. And, you know, we made a lot of progress. We still got a ways to go. You know, it wouldn't be a bad thought to even look every year at our levy dollars. What more can we do? And just be an automatic thing that we might want to budget for this, to finally get to a certain point, to match, and we'd budget, try to match other funds and so forth, just not just to pay it straight out.
This item on the agenda did poke the bear a little bit, because I was getting phone calls yesterday about, hey, what about my township?
Yeah, I
my
bet.
area of
I
the
bet.
township? And I'd remind folks that these have to be initiated by the internet service provider. We can't say, hey, Spectrum, or hey, Vibrant, why don't you go there? Although I've tried. They have to make the decision that makes sense for them based on the other resources that may or may not be available to them. So
Sure.
hopefully more of that will happen as they get their infrastructure built. What was the one from rural that didn't cost anything? Vibrant did so many.
I don't know, Atwater, they came in and did Atwater.
There was one USDA grant, though, that allowed companies to apply for grants that didn't cost any matching dollars, no border-to-border money, but it was contingent on being a very low population area. Well, that allowed them to expand their map by quite a bit, and now they may be able to go into some areas because they got that close to a more populated area. So hopefully that continues.
All right, any other questions?
I just want to say one thing. Since it's in my district, I appreciate all the support for this little community of Savea to move forward and get fiber to the home.
Outstanding. And with that, and no other questions, we'll move the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We are now down to administrative updates, appointments, calendar, and committee reports. I think in the interest of time, if you have any committee report, maybe just keep it to one today, because we will be moving downstairs into our work session shortly. Any administrative updates? I note on the calendar, we have a tour following our board meeting on August 4th over at Safe Avenues, and another budget work session following our board meeting on August 18th, next month. So anything else that anyone else wishes to cover? Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick update on the Prairie Lakes Youth Program, and that the current building that we're leasing to buy, we're moving forward on that and made a decision that yes, we want to buy that building that we're using for classrooms and right now, and we get reimbursed to a large degree from the school system, but also it's good office space for us now too. And we're in the process of just checking which banks to go with. We do have options from several banks.
Very good. Does anyone else have anything they wish to report on? All right, hearing none, then we will adjourn the this meeting of the Candioi County Board of Commissioners, and we'll reconvene for a work session downstairs momentarily. Thank you.